Good evening. Call to order the Stephenville Town Council meeting agenda for Thursday, September 12th, 2024, at 6:30 PM. Janelle, would you please take the roll call?
Councilor Barker? Here. Councilor Brown? Here. Councilor Nelson?
Here.
Councilor Smith?
Here.
Mayor Michelson?
Here. Would you please all rise for the pledge, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Move on to item number 3, public comments. Public comments on anything not on the agenda. Anything not on the agenda. Dina,
Hi, I'm Nina Williams and I live at 105 College. And I just wanted to find out today if there's been any kind of status and progress on my proposal to lease that little piece of land out on First Street to expand my garden a little bit more.
actually, I can answer that for you. Janelle found some old paperwork for you, she got from Cindy. So as soon as the budget is done, I promise you, we'll get to going on that for you. And give you some answers. You can come in and we can start the process.
Okay,
Does that work?
yeah,
Okay,
so come in at when
after the budget in October.
in October, okay, okay.
Budget's precedence right now, we need to get that passed.
Yeah.
It's priority number 1.
Okay, well,
But you're on our radar, in fact, we talked about you today.
oh, okay. Well, thank you very much.
You betcha. Any other public comments? On anything not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to approval of minutes. So how would the council like to proceed? Would you like to do A through G, or would you like to do them individually?
A through G.
A through G? That be okay with the other council members? Okay. So I get a motion to approve town council meeting minutes A through G. Councilmember Smith.
I move that we approve council minutes for A through G on the agenda.
We have a second. Councilmember Brown.
I'll second.
We have a motion and we have a second to approve the minutes of A to G. So if you guys, you can go through and you can look at them and. Any comments on the minutes from the council? Any questions, concerns? correction? No? Okay. Any comments from the public on the minutes? Yes,
I want to comment on the minutes for F.
hey ma'am, could you go to the podium please and state your name and address?
Sarah Lucas. Address is Grizzly Way. I'm here for my mother on Spring Street. Just a quick question on the COW meeting minutes. I was hoping to see something on the agenda for maybe a committee for being started for the water sewer assistance program. I think there was a slight discussion about that, but I wasn't sure if that would be something we could put on the agenda. I didn't see anything in the meetings.
Correct, it was discussed at the COW meeting, but
Okay.
no council members or anyone brought that forward to be put in.
Okay, so is that something I can do next meeting for new,
Yes, you're free to put an agenda item
Yes.
together. That's,
thank you.
The form is located on the town's website under forms.
Perfect, thank you.
thank you. Any other comments from the public on the minutes? Any comments on the council from the minutes? Seeing none, Janelle, would you please take the vote?
Councilor Barker.
Aye.
Councilor Brown.
Aye.
Councilor Nelson.
Aye.
And Councilor Smith.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you all. Moving on to item number 5, approval of the biweekly claims. Can I get a motion to approve the claims? Councilmember Smith.
I move that we approve claims number 19179 through 19233.
We have a motion by Councilmember Smith. May I have a second, please? Councilmember.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have a discussion from the council on the claims? Councilmember Barker.
I have claim number 19181, which is Ravalli County Sheriff's Office, Zucker Mobile Cadet. I see 3 of these on there, and why is that? And 2 of them are very large.
They are, so they are Central Square, and what they have done is when we have talked to Ravalli County, and we speak a little bit more to this, but the county, because it's a large amount, the county decided that they would take on that full process of the payment of Central Square, and they would divide it based on our different departments, and that's where those charges are coming from. It's how the police department uses it, and I don't know, John.
That's correct, yeah. We've got the basic program.
And Zerker is something that is required, right?
That is correct. We run a lot of NCIC and that type of information through the circuit program through Central Square. And we piggyback off for Raleigh County program.
Is that something we're gonna see quite regularly come through? Or
Just
just,
always get a recorder.
It's quarter, okay.
And it's just, I think it was just easier for Central Square to have to deal with one entity instead of all of the other little entities, because it got really confusing. So when Zerker ended up talking to Ravalli County, they said, look, we'll just take over the bill, and then we will bill the individual entities. So, and which is us, Darby, Hamilton. So,
okay.
So I'm sorry, on the, so the 19181, that's a yearly thing for 1575. They all are yearly. So these particular ones will be yearly. There is one out there that will come out quarterly. At least that's what they told me. So, but these are just yearly fees right now.
Okay.
Councilmember Barker.
Pardon me?
I have another one here, just I can't find it. 19226, Western States Equipment, perform maintenance on Generac. We have two of them on there, and also 19227, one's for $2,228. $2,228.36, and then we have another one for $3,204.56.
Yes.
That's for the maintenance for the big generator down at the sewer plant, I believe, right, Steve?
Yes, that's two generators, one at the well house, one at the plant. The one at the plant needed a turbine below it, needed a part, so that's why you see one on way more expensive than the other.
Okay.
But this yearly thing, they do it every year,
Okay.
so they found issues with the one down at the plant, you probably have to come back in a couple of days. But that's a yearly thing.
Okay.
Councilmember Barker?
19231, HDR Engineering, is this the completion of everything for the final project?
No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's just work completed, that includes project management, it's a part of the final design, the construction and inspection, but no, it's not the final build.
I'll get into that in my executive report.
Because I see that it says budgeted project, and then it has budget remaining, and then services, inspections, and so forth, so those will all come out now. And so we're getting closer to the end of that.
Yes,
Okay.
And I have to break it out like that, so when I report to DMRC, they want those specific lines broken out. That's how it's going to do that.
Councilmember Brown?
I see we have two claims, 19186 and 19218, both to Rex Olson Trucking on an AC repair on unit 2511. Is that one bill, two bills? Parts come in late?
So 19186, and what was the other one?
19218.
Yeah, those are separate. Those are separate bills from Rex Olson Trucking, for the fire truck.
Is it for the same thing? It says AC service and AC repair.
Yeah, I think they had an issue with their AC in their truck, and then they had to take it back.
Councilmember Brown?
And then under the credit card charges on page 67, I see we have a hotel reservation for Colette. If I remember correctly, at our town meeting, that Colette is no longer going to be with us. Is that going to be a refund?
Yes, it is on there. It states that the refund will be on, because it crosses months. We have to pay for it this month, and then they'll give us credit for next month. And that's already been credited. I do have it in the process for next month.
Councilmember Brown?
Claim number 19191 for Bitterroot Tree, is that something we're going to be able to claim under MMIA?
I don't think so. This is an annual thing that they've been doing every year. Spray the trees on Main Street. I think they do it every year for years. So. Councilmember Brown?
Just one other on claim number 19198 for Morrison Marley. Did we ever get any information back on additional contracts for Morrison and Marley under the airport? We're going to do an RF, put it out for bids when Will was still here. Is that still
Mr. Jermaine and I completed that, and with the help of Diane, with the FAA, and that went on the website yesterday. And then we will accept those bids up until October 2nd at 5 p.m. Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Council members,
On 19206, I just need an explanation of the inspection and permit plan fees for building inspection and plan review. What is this referring to? What building?
Well, it's not one building, it could be a few different buildings. And so if that falls under any permit, which would be building, mechanical, electrical. And so all those fees go into there. And then we have Tim Nestle, who is our construction, he is our building inspector. And so he gets paid part of those fees. So it's not on one specific building, it could be on a multitude of buildings.
I see. Okay, thank you.
any other comments from the council on the claims? Any comments from the public on the claims before us tonight? Seeing none further, Janelle, would you please take the vote?
Councilmember Barker.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown. Aye. Councilmember Nelson.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Move on to the administrative reports. The airport, we don't have an airport manager, but I will say that we've had 5 applications in, and we're bringing an airport manager at the next council meeting. That's the airport. Building department, finance, fire, Jeff isn't here. Police. John?
Good evening. John Bowe, Stevensville Police Department. First off, I'd like to say that during the month of August, I spent 2 weeks up in Helena at the academy, completed my 2-week certification or application for reciprocity so that I can be certified in the state of Montana. We've gotten through that hurdle now, and Officer Pierce will be starting week 5 Monday. So he's almost halfway through the academy. So we're looking good on that front. Before you should have the monthly report for August, our activity report. We issued 7 citations during the month of August. Of these, 3 of them were traffic violators, 4 were town ordinance or statutory law violations. We made 3 arrests during the month of August. And of the 19 vehicles that we stopped, we issued 12 warnings along with the 7 citations. If you look down through the roll or the item, you'll see that as it relates to criminal complaints, robberies, homicides, and things like that, we don't have those types of problem here. We're typically dealing with the petty thefts, fraudulent activity, credit card fraud, things like that. Those are typically our responses in the town. We deal with a lot of dog issues, and as the mayor and I were talking about, I even added the tow-in item or section down there because we're starting to see an uptick in towing of vehicles. So that's also in there. For the month of August, we had 1 towed vehicle. I also want to note that in the month of August, we're about on par with the average response to calls for service. We had 71 calls for service in the month of August, which is, we range anywhere from 81.75 to 71%. So we're holding the line as it relates to that. Any questions about the activity report for the month of August? No? Good? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Public Works, Mr. Steve.
Real quick, meter replacement update, since it's been in question lately. In May, we had 180 unread meters. Today, we have 99. We did do 8 this week, so hopefully that'll be 91. So we're making great progress, and it's because of the system that Andrina is making appointments with people, and 99% of the time, Cody is the one going out and doing the actual replacement. So this is all due to them. It's all due to their hard work, crawling in their houses, talking to people, there's been a couple of no-shows, but you're gonna have that. There's some meters that are not priority, like the house is vacant. Pine Street, we're still working on maybe getting some meter pits in there, with leftover, ARPA grant money. Town-owned meters, which is, Father Valley and this pool. So we're concentrating on town, resident meters. So we've got them down to possibly 91 as of today, and that's from 180, 4 months ago. So we got them down to half in 4 months. I say that's pretty darn good. And thank you to Andrina and Cody for putting that together. I think I've done 2.
It's because we just keep calling you.
Just being honest.
You have no time.
Just don't have time.
And I'd like to also add that next week, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, you guys are gonna get going, you're gonna do all of Mission Street then?
We're shooting for 23 next week and one big hit. We'll see if that happens. That'd be great.
You did what, 8 today, or how many today?
Eight this week, yes.
So,
And that's a good round number. Sometimes we do 10, 12, but 8 or 10 a week is pretty good. We try to concentrate on Tuesdays.
so the goal is to get down, like George Thomas would say, you're always gonna have some failures. Every time you go and you hear a ping every month when you're driving around, you pick up the signal. He figured between 20 and 30 a month is a good round figure. You'll never get 0.
Right.
It'll all be one of them failing or not reading. But the goal is, and I'll say it, as long as I'm here, my priority is try to get a meter pit in every house in town. So you don't have to call, you don't have to go into their house, you don't have to go in their crawl space, you can just do it out on the street. And that would save time, money, and well, it would raise our revenue. So that's what's going on there. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
And I want to thank you for doing that alleyway over there by Pine Street. Good job. Okay. Move on to item 7. Yes, Mr. Fred Thomas.
Hello.
Hi, Fred.
Hi, my name is Fred Thomas, Mayor and council members and citizens. I'm here as a member of the Lofty Building Committee of the St. Mary's Catholic Church. And we're planning on building a new church down here, or adding on to our current church. And if I may, Mayor, members, can I just adding on this front piece there. That's if you wish. So my purpose in being here tonight is very simple. It's nothing that's too grand, but it's on parking and a part of our property in front of the church coming this way. We have an open lot there that we plan on skinning and moving the topsoil and then putting in gravel soon. But then as we move along, we want to pave it, clean it up, make it nice for parking and all that out front. And I'd like to hand out another handout if I can. So I'm going to hand this to you this way. So it's pointing correct direction, if I'm right. So the parking of the church here is existing parking lot. This one here is the open lot that we plan to develop. And that's the direction of the lake, like this open parking lot. That's the one we want to skin and, take the dirt off, clean up with a nice gravel top, and then pave it later. So the purpose of those the slots there is to show you particularly the alleyway that goes between the church parking lot and we would like to be able to work with this, with the city to make sure that we can maximize parking down there. And that's really that's the only reason I'm here, is to try and do that. And what I mean there is that if we needed to maximize that, if we needed to move the alleyway a foot this way or a couple feet that way, we wanted to be able to work with you and come back with a final plan before we do anything, of course. But be on the same page that that's okay to do what we've got in mind. Not taking any land, not any ownership changes, just the use of the land down there. Obviously, we would be using this on Sundays. We don't really have mass on Saturdays anymore. Priests are thin numbers on priests. We don't have the priests to go around like we used to. So that's my main purpose, is that alleyway. We'd like to make sure that we have it open, but that we can adjust it a little bit if need be. Now, this drawing and all is just a rudimentary depiction by a company that did this for me. It's not just, it's just a good design of what you have in mind. Lastly, if I can, I can show you easily on Onyx, but the parking line along this road, whatever it is, which one it is, with that one there. Let me just say on the outside, yep, is not our land. This depiction here, along the outside of that lot. Let me show you, like along here. So,
Fred, would you mind giving it to police and public works?
yeah, you guys. So, and what you'll find is that if you go up here, Janelle and I ran across this in early, like at the bank, Rocky Mountain, First Security Bank here, the parking lot along the road is not their land, it's just public land, but it's a parking lot. And so that's what we wanted to be able to do there. So along that road there, on both sides, on the front and the sides, to the our side, is just put in parking. But it isn't our land. So, but we would be doing the same things that have been done along Main Street on each side, is to utilize that space there for parking. And so that's kind of what we want to do, is share that with you, try and answer any questions if you have, and get your approval, a stamp of tacit approval with the final plan to be brought to you and concurred with, if that's all right.
We can't give any approval tonight, of course, we're just a guess, we can't, it's not on the agenda for one, we can't take a vote on it.
Oh, yeah, got all those rules. Yeah, that's cool.
You would have to bring an agenda item forward.
You betcha, yeah.
Yes.
The block in question, who owns it, and are these houses adjacent to it?
Yeah, so there's one home that's right in that we are adjacent, that's exactly right. That's, and so we cannot affect egress, we can't affect them at all. Whatever we end up with, let's leave it alone. And particularly between the church and that house, there's a garage and there's a driveway back there. I'm not gonna mess with that.
And this land is owned by the town?
I'm assuming so, if it's public property. If it's not there, I don't know.
That's what I was, that's what I was asking.
Oh, whose is it? Is that what you have?
Yeah, it's public.
Well, there's nothing, there's no designation as to anybody but, the roadways, which would be the public's.
Wasn't it Susan Evans?
Didn't Susan own that lot?
Well,
And give it
She owned
to
the
the
house.
this house?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we're talking about kind of the space along here.
Yeah, I thought she owned that.
No, It's not identified as anybody on it, but that's just kind of open space. Yeah. And when we looked at it's, you don't think of these things, but if you look at along the side streets, Third Street, you know, the bank, and then you got the old bank on this side, right up here, right over there. There's a strip of the parking on each side of the road it's just public land. It's, I don't know who owns it, but the public does. And so, but it's developed and it's perfect parking for town. Thank God we got it. And you'll see that all as you go around all of the different sides, particularly at the off the streets coming off of Main Street.
Councilmember
So-
Parker.
So nobody owns this piece of property, but the town does, right? Correct? No, Sullivan does. Okay. So, I mean, it's kind of confusing, but we're wanting to pay this, but sounds like we're running into the same situation of where we would be with Ramona Vance down by the park wanting to pave and use that lot without the authorization.
It's a gray area, so to speak.
It's, yeah. I mean, it sounds wonderful to be able to do that, but not having the specifics, I think we need to have more on that.
What would you like on that?
Councilmember Brown.
I'm sorry.
I think Stacy is asking for site layout with ownership.
Yeah, we would be happy to do that.
Yeah, instead of just saying, hey, we want to do this, I would like to see who owns what and where.
Well, we know we own the alley.
Correct,
This is the first for me,
exactly.
this is the first for me that to say that this, around that parking lot area is public property, which would be town property, of course, if it is.
But I would like to see more information on who actually owns what here before anything is even determined on.
Well, the lot we're talking about, I may not have made that clear. The lot we're talking about, scraping off the dirt, putting in gravel, is owned by St. Mary's Church. So the primary sort of land there is the church's. It's just the area around it that I wanted to make the point of, that we would like to use that as park. If we wouldn't use it as parking, I mean, that's what's happening now. And it's just there, and so it's part of the roadway. And but we can make that clear with a nice.
Yeah, I think it needs to be a little more clear than just seeing what we have as a box.
This was meant to be very rudimentary starting point.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Thank you for
Too
asking.
bad. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on to item number 8, under new business, discussion decisions, Scarecrow Festival 2024, warming station, East Morris. Gretchen.
Gretchen Spees, 3627 Highway 93, Stevensville. Because, anyway, we had a few problems, and I normally put in the permit, and Loie did it, and therefore the burn barrel, which is this big and that high, was left off. And I understand that if there's any problem with weather and fire, no. But I am asking if we could possibly add that to our permit. It's not for warming, it's mainly for s'mores for the kids to.
And that sits right up there by Rocky Mountain. where you
Yeah.
always said.
Yep.
You did it forever.
Yeah.
Just an oversight of what I thought on it, wasn't put on, so now it's just coming back to tighten it up. Yes. So with that, could I get a motion?
Just one quick, well, we'll do the motion first and we can discuss it.
Go ahead. Motion.
I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the Scarecrow Festival 2024
warming stations / mores.
We have a motion by Councilmember Parker, may I have a second, please? Councilmember Vince.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Now, do we have discussion from the council? Councilmember Parker.
Just looking at the dates down at the bottom that you have October 5th, 9 to 9 on West 3rd. However, there is still farmer's market going on at that time.
That's just, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't have put that if I had done it. So anyway, yeah, and we know that you
Yeah,
have
that is
farmer's
the
market.
last-
I mean,
yeah, that is the
that's
last
part
farmer's
of it,
market.
yeah. So, I mean, we've got the monster mash that will have that, like we did last year, off to the side, so it doesn't interfere with the farmer's market. And then when you guys are done, then we'll set up.
Thank you. Councilmember Nelson.
Just, my question on prudency, is there gonna be fire extinguishers kept handy for that?
Oh, yes.
In case?
Yes,
Yes.
and we have adults managing the burden,
Awesome.
no teenagers.
Are you working with Mr. Doyle? Sean Doyle?
Yeah,
So Thursday of next week, he's coming in, we're gonna have a coordination meeting, go over the safety and ops plan. I'm assuming you've already touched base with him?
no,
Yeah.
I mean, I have, but, I didn't know about.
Maybe you ought to come down.
So, sure,
Yeah, 4 o'clock next Thursday.
sounds good.
Those are the things we were gonna discuss in the coordination.
Okay,
And Councilmember Nelson.
We did approve,
Yeah, we approved this.
and we did have Chief Motley, and evidently Chief Bo is looking at it next Thursday.
Everyone looked at it, everyone came forth. You guys
did.
didn't, we wanted it tabled, took it back out, everyone looked at it, brought it back. And then one thing that when Miss Lowy turned this in, is she wasn't sure on whether or not there was gonna be anything to do with the warming s'mores station. And so then you called and put it back on and put it back in front of you guys. That's the only change to the whole permit. Yes.
Wonderful, thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Any comments from the public on the small warming station? Seeing none, Janelle, would you please take the vote?
Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Nelson,
Aye.
Councilmember Brown. Aye. Councilmember Barker.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Gretchen. We'll move on to item number B, discussion decision, renewal of town attorney contract effective October 15th, 2024, of Greg Overstreet. So, as you all know, Greg's been our attorney since 21, Greg?
Yes.
Fall of 21. His contract is back up for renewal. I've got a few numbers here I'd like to run by you. I didn't go all the way back from the very beginning. I know some of you have been here. Stacy and Cindy and I were here in 22. Right after Mayor Dewey had left, and there was a lot of contracts that we had, you all know, we had to get rescinded. Some of them we had to buy out, and it required a lot of work from Greg. Had, I ran into quite a bit of money at the time, but as it eased down, so what I did is I just took the numbers from January of this year up until now, and Greg's rate is $165 an hour. So far from January to now, he's charged us $412.50 for Burnt Fork Estates. He's charged us $1,468.50 for water rights. He's working with Ross Miller. And he's charged us $1,683 for Berta Farms. And his total monthly fees, if you take those off, is $6,733.65. So if you take EFE, the water rights, and the Berta Farms off it, because we will get the water rights comes out of the water and sewer. Burnt Fork Estates will probably have to eat that. Berta Farms, we can put a lien on the taxes for that, as you all know, to get that back. So the final thing is, Greg has charged us $3,169.65 for 9 months, which averages about $352 a month, which is pretty good for attorney fees. So, as you know, we have to have an attorney. I will say that my time with Greg's been pretty good. We have a pretty good working relationship, which the mayor and the town attorney should have. If you choose, you want to do another route, I will say that it will. Greg has a really good relationship with Los Miller, as Cindy knows. And as you know, the water rights is pretty high priority for us. We have to have that before we can develop any more, to grow, to get more revenue, and all that other stuff. So with that, can I get a motion? Councilmember Barker.
I make a motion for the renewal of town attorney contract effective October 15th, 2024.
We have a motion by Councilmember Barker. Do we have a second? Councilmember Singh. We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have a discussion from the council? Councilmember Barker.
One thing that kind of concerns me is obviously he's running for your House District 88, correct? If that is, you do win that, how is that gonna leave us with?
Do you mind?
Yep.
Yeah, and I had before the meeting, a conversation with Councilmember Smith. He asked the same question. It's a really good question. Assuming I win, and given the historic voting patterns of this county, that is more likely than not, I'm gonna keep 2 clients for that 5-month period. The town and the town of Phillipsburg. It's maybe 10 hours a month of work. So I talked to a Republican attorney, well, I guess the party doesn't matter, I'm used to saying that, sorry. Anyway, a legislator who's an attorney, and I said, is this possible? And he said, 1 month while he was in the legislature, he billed 222 hours. And I'm talking about 10 a month. So, and Phillipsburg is hardly anything. So, I can easily do it. The legislature doesn't work as hard as everybody thinks. So, and it's funny, Fred Thomas used to be a senator. I was hoping he'd be here so he could laugh with me on that. But anyway, so, it should not be a problem. And I've got a plan for it, and I looked into it and figured out that I can do it.
I just, I hear you say 5 months, you're giving us 5 months. What does that 5 months look like?
The 5 months in the legislature, what does it look like time-wise? The first month, there's not a lot of committee or floor activity. I mean, there's some. The big, busy month is the last month when there's all kinds of bills flying back and forth. But the legislature doesn't meet on Saturdays and Sundays. And I've worked really hard my entire life. So I don't exactly keep normal business hours. So I'll have remote access to my work computer that you send me things, and I have all the documents. I can go back and not have to reinvent wheels because I've got the documents. I'll have remote access even on the floor. When you see all those legislators on laptops, maybe they're playing solitaire, I don't know, but I can do work from there if I absolutely need to.
And Councilmember Brown.
I just want to, in our discussion is, Mayor Michelson brought up how much Greg has charged us recently. Just one thing, as a reminder to the council as we vote, just throwing it out there, is because we're so deep in Berta Farms and our water rights, we would have to, if we put it out for bid, the new attorney, if that's the way we go, is going to have to get into those files and get reacquainted with them. And I don't know how much, maybe Greg has a better idea how many hours it would take them to be up to speed on those, just those two cases that we're so deeply involved in. And we would be billed for those hours.
It would take a lot of time. One other thing to keep in mind is that, and this is gonna sound odd, but it's true, there are too few attorneys in Ravalli County. I know everybody thinks there are too many attorneys. There are in Missoula, but here, not so much. And this doesn't make me look good, but as I was telling Councilmember Smith, those are the best stories because they're the most authentic. Back in July of 2021, an RFP went out to be the town attorney to all the attorneys in Ravalli County. I was the only one who responded. So, and the rate is about a third of what I charge people in Washington State. True Montanan charging out-of-staters more, so that's the rate is a lot less than my normal rate.
Councilmember Smith.
Okay, I have like a clarification. I was reading through the contract and it says it's a 3-year contract.
Yes,
All right. Looking through some of the MCAs, and it says that an attorney is appointed by the governor, the mayor, and then ratified by the council for a 2-year term.
that's correct.
Okay, so can we have an explanation of why we're having 3?
Yes, I only, and we've had this conversation offline, I only answer questions that I'm asked. I'm not a roving legal compliance person. And the past contract was presented to me and it was based on the one before that. And so I didn't go and look up the term because if I looked up everything that I was curious about, your bills would be a lot higher than they are. And so, that written 3-year contract is obviously modified by the statute. So the contract can't be 3 years. It can only be 2 years because of the statute. And so the 3-year written contract, is really a 2-year contract. And I didn't want to bring up that there's a 2-year contract because I didn't want to come up here and be all technical and slam my fists. I thought that if you want to reappoint me, it would become a moot point, but that's what's going on with that.
Okay. And also in the terms of duties here, I don't see where you're prosecuting.
Yeah, as you know, I'm not prosecuting. My civil practice has grown. And we have an assistant town attorney, a prosecutor.
So does she then work under you?
No, she works independently. There's no need to work under me because it would cost more money. There would be my time and her time. And she does a terrific job.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Councilmember Ward.
I think if we're gonna put this contract into place, I think the wording needs to change. If you're gonna have it as a 2-year, which is what he's saying, it needs to say 2-year, not 3-year in there.
Right.
Easy to do.
Easy to do. You can make a motion if you want. So a motion,
We already have a motion on the table for the approval of the contract.
but you can make a
So-
sub-motion, I believe, to do 2 years. You can amend it. To go from 3 years to 2 years.
Okay, I would like to make an amendment to the motion that in the contract, that it goes from a 3-year to a 2-year.
Okay, we have a
That would
motion.
be from October 15th, 2024 to October 15th of 2026.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a
I'll
second?
second.
We have a motion. We have a second by Councilmember Smith. Do we have a discussion on that amended motion? None? Do we have discussion from the public on the amended motion from 3 to 2 years?
I do have a question, not on the motion.
Just wait a second.
Sure.
If you want to get up to the,
Absolutely. Is now a good time?
state your name, yes, go ahead, state your name.
Okay. And I need to write my name here, right?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Melissa Bailey. I live on College Street. I have a question on page 91 of the packet. Substitute, the contractor shall be responsible for having available at no additional cost to the town a substitute contractor to perform his duties in his absence. Would that substitute be approved by the town council prior to taking action? Or is that up to Mr. Overstreet to appoint?
Where's this at now?
Page 91, item 9.
Would this instance be similar to when you were out with COVID and you
Yeah.
had the lady that came in and sat for you, but she did not charge for anything? Mr. Overstreet was actually out with COVID when he first started.
It was on a ventilator.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
That's out.
so, and
Hear that
I
now.
do not remember what her name was.
Joe Mill.
She came in and sat in where we had that attorney at the same time.
Mhm.
We were not charged for anything for her to come in.
Okay.
It was his choice of who, I believe, he brought.
Actually, it
But I
wasn't.
think you had. the
I was in a
council approve
coma,
it.
so she just showed up.
She contacted the town and said that
That's
she
right.
would fill in at that
Yeah.
point in time.
For her to be-
I I can't take credit for.
So she
running-
wasn't included in the contract that we had with him, then, correct?
No,
So in the event that you had to go to Phillipsburg or something and you needed to appoint a substitute, they would be covered under this contract and we'd be obligated to pay them at that rate of 165.
no, at no service is what I'm getting at. Is that correct?
No, what, I didn't hear what you said.
That she's not at no additional cost to the town.
It just happened that way. So a substitute would be a situation where, like being on a ventilator, I mean, you mentioned going to Phillipsburg. I'd go to Phillipsburg and still return calls and answer emails and all of that. It would be sort of a incapacity
Sure.
situation that I hope doesn't happen. There are other attorneys I could call on, and I guess I'm just, of course, if I'm incapacitated, I don't know that I'd be making these calls. I think that other lawyers could step in. I'm not sure, I haven't thought about it.
Okay.
So I guess your question is, are we being are they gonna be charged? Is that,
Well, we would be
Yeah.
charged no additional cost. I mean, it would be the same 165 an hour probably.
I would insist that whoever,
Yes, contracted.
as a matter of honor.
was that the question you were asking?
Yeah, so if we're obligated to pay an additional attorney $165, do we want the ability to be able to approve who that attorney is before allowing
Oh,
him to
yeah, I mean, they
practice?
would let me know.
It doesn't say that in the contract,
No,
so that's why I was just wanting to clarify. It just says that Mr. Overstreet would appoint somebody or be responsible for having available a substitute contractor.
Well, we don't, hopefully we'll never get to that.
But
No,
I
hopefully
understand
not,
where
but-
she's coming from, and she's, is there some sort of wording that we need to put in there?
You know, like upon prior approval from the town council or from the mayor even. You know.
I think that for
It
clarity.
could easily amend
It can
the
easily.
contract, yeah. It's a valid point. I never thought of it.
If the council wants to put that wording in there, the contractor shall be responsible for having available no additional cost to the town, a substitute contractor perform the duties in his absence upon approval by the town council in there.
I think that should go in there.
Okay, we can add that in there.
Piece of cake.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Any further comments from the council? And I would like to add that I don't think it could hurt the town of Stevensville to have an attorney sitting there in the legislature because we have firsthand knowledge of things that could change on a dime, like issues as far as our town, as far as our lots, as far as the size of our, we already addressed that when we were at Fairmont this year. And we found out after the fact where he would be right on the spot. Go ahead, Greg.
And if I may, I have informally been given a slot because I asked for it on the local government committee, which is the committee that passes all these statutes that affect towns and cities. And the presumptive chair of the local government committee was thrilled when I called and said I would love to be on this committee, because now they would have a town attorney of the town of 2,000 and one of 900, who understands that you can have all these fantastic pie-in-the-sky legislative ideas, but stuff needs to actually work as a practical matter. So that's one of the neat things I can add, at least to that committee, because I understand how towns work.
Councilman Brunel.
And on that point, there's no conflict of interest in a legal sense?
No, and Councilmember Smith brought this up too before the meeting, and I gave him the answer. When something directly affects you, you need to recuse yourself, and I use the example of if I owned a particular mine, which I don't, because I don't own any mines, and there was a bill about that mine, then I'd have to recuse myself. If people had to recuse themselves when things affect them in a general sense, then, for example, you can never have a nurse in the legislature because there might be some Medicaid bill that theoretically, indirectly affects them. And you want people with specialized knowledge, like nurses, giving thoughts on things like Medicaid. So, and I thought of that, and I'm well aware of the rules about conflicts of interest, and we'll certainly follow them.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Seeing none, Janelle, would you please take the vote?
Now, we're voting on the amendment
We're voting
first.
on the amendment.
Okay, thank you. That was, I wanted
Yeah.
was clarification of what we were voting on.
Councilor Brown,
Aye.
Councilor Smith,
Aye.
Councilor Barker,
Aye.
and Councilor Nelson.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0 on the amendment. Now, that's passed.
Do we have to have an amendment to put in this language on the contract?
If you want to, you can make that motion amended.
Yeah, the way you said it.
Okay,
However you said it.
okay. Let me get back to it. All right, I'm looking for a motion on the contractor shall be responsible for having available no additional cost to the town, the substitute contractor perform his duties in his absence upon approval by the town council.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and we have a second to amend item number 9 as far as the contractor to have council approval. Do we have any comments from the public on the amended motion? None from the council? Seeing none, would you please take the vote, Janelle?
Sorry. Okay. Councilor Brown,
Aye.
Councilor Smith,
Aye.
Councilor Barker,
Aye.
and Councilor Nelson.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0 on the amendment. Thank you. Now, we can move. And can I get a motion to accept the contract of Mr. Overstreet?
We already have that one, don't we?
No,
No, we amended it.
we did the 2
We did the
amendments.
2 amendments.
Councilmember Barker.
I make a motion to approve the renewal of the town's attorney contract effective October 15th of 2024.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any further discussion on the council on the 2-year? Council? None? Any public comments on Mr. Overstreet's contract? Seeing none, Janelle, would you please take the vote?
Councilor Brown,
Aye.
Councilor Smith,
Aye.
Councilor Barker,
Aye.
and Councilor Nelson.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, Greg.
Welcome back, Greg.
The land of the living.
All right, we'll move on to item number C, discussion decision resolution number 457D, a resolution of the town of Stevensville, town council amending water and sewer billing policy. It's basically some cleanup work. It has to do with the DEQ, the annual charge in March for $2. That does every year. The DEQ likes to get their little bit in. So with that, could I get a motion? So I need to get to the spot. Councilmember Barker.
I make a motion for approval of resolution number 457D, a resolution of the town of Stevensville, town amending water and sewer billing policies.
We have a motion by Councilmember Barker, may I have a second? Councilmember Smith.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and we have a second by Councilmember Smith. Do we have a discussion from the council on the amended change for the DEQ $2 charge? Councilmember Barker.
Just reading through some of the other changes, or some of the other stuff in the policy. Why is it that the billing, water and sewer billing office is only Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, when the office is open actually from 8 to 5?
That was approved when went through the last time. I think that's mainly because that Public Works is only here till 4 o'clock. That has been there for, gosh, years.
She's there.
We're here till 5, of course, but Public Works is only here till 4.
I was just curious of why that hour was different than our town hours, so.
The last council meeting, I think it was listed on the bottom of the note section when you guys approved this. That was what was in there. The only thing that's being changed tonight, though, was just the addition of the word to DEQ and the $2 fee.
I just probably missed it, but I was just
No, it's a good
asking.
And you know something, I think that Nancy had mentioned to me once that they used to only collect water bills until 4, and it gave them their last hour of the day to kind of like get everything in and balance their till and things like that, so that may have been why that was like that.
They can balance the books by 5 o'clock.
Makes sense.
Any other comments from the council? Any comments from the public on the $2 DEQ charge? Seeing none, Janelle, would you please take the vote?
Councilor Barker?
Aye.
Councilor Brown? Aye. Councilor Nelson?
Aye.
And Councilor Smith?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. We'll move on to the last item, item number D, discussion decision, resolution number 548A, a resolution adopting a user fee for the unmetered water by the town of Stephenville. This is basically another cleanup. Andrina didn't like the word bulk. So she wanted to change it to unmetered. Bulk is too vague. So, Councilmember Smith.
I move to approve resolution number 548A, resolution adopting the user fee for unmetered water by the town of Stevensville.
We have a motion by Councilmember Smith. Do we have a second? Councilmember Nelson.
I'll second that.
We have a motion. We have a second by Councilmember Nelson. Do we have a discussion from the council?
I would just say that's a good change of wording.
No comments from the council? Any comments from the public on unmetered water from bulk? Mr. Pat?
I got a question. You're saying unmetered to where I noticed when I pulled in this hydrant over here, it's got a hose to it with no meter at all. You're talking thousands of gallons of water going in, dump on the road or dump on a construction site, as if the highway water of the roads for compaction. How are we keeping track of that? How are we feeding that?
Can I answer that for you? So those are, they've filled out their contracts, and then we monitor that by them reporting the size of truck that they're using. So for instance, you may have seen the last one I did a couple times today, and that's a 3,000 gallon truck. So that's how we calculate those and keep track of those.
So we're working on a merit as far as honesty is, who's doing what and not slipping in and getting extra when they can't.
It's gone really well.
Do they come in for,
They have to come in for a key to unlock that hydrant.
I'll shut up.
And the only other hydrant that's being used at this time is the one on South Avenue
Okay.
by Maplewood
I
Cemetery.
was just noticing the hose was still laying there. so-
Right, because that one's strictly being used just for the Forest Service to refill for their water for the fire camp.
And I'm not saying charge them. I'm just-
No, they are, they have a contract with us and they also are being paid, yes.
I'm out on that one.
They're paying us.
Just
Then the
now.
only other one right now is on South Avenue by Maplewood, and that is being used by Big Sky Utilities at this point in time, and then they report via email, and they keep track for us as well. That's a good question. It's a great.
It's great.
Can I ask a question here regarding, the Forest Service is filling up for the camp and all. How are they paying? 3 years from now, or do they come in pretty
No,
regularly?
they pay via their credit card.
All right,
It
great.
takes place at the end of their camp.
I've heard stories, you know.
Always check in with town. We can
Yeah.
answer it for you.
All right.
Or get another story.
Any other comments from the council? And from the public? Seeing none, Janelle, would you please take the roll?
Councilor Barker,
Aye.
Councilor Brown,
Aye.
Councilor Nelson,
Aye.
and Councilor Smith.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Board reports. I have one board report here. I did attend the airport board meeting last night. I'll get that to you here. At the meeting last night, the courtesy car status came up. As you know, the courtesy car, they bought the old squad car that we had here. That's been taken away. That's been moved up to the airport. They're taking the light bar off, striking off it, and it'll be their courtesy car. As far as gravel pit status, they're still working on that. I brought up leases last night. After going through the list, there's probably over $30,000 of unpaid leases in the last few years. So next week, the girls and I will get together. Cindy was able to give us a list of all the addresses. We'll send out letters, and as I told the airport board last night, I'm gonna give them 30 days from the time to get their letter. And if they don't pay their leases, then Chief Bo and I will go up there and put a padlock on it, because I'm tired of hearing the board, some members up there whining about we're taking their money, whining they don't have no money, we don't help them, but yet they can't even pay their leases. So they have to do their part too, because it's a tight budget year and we gotta get it done. So that's what's going on there. The Hawthorne fuel tank status. As you well know, Hawthorne went and took the fuel away from up there, took the tank. And Will Rowe, who is the former airport manager, was working on getting it back, but then he resigned. And a board member called down there, and they're willing to sell the town back that tank for $20,000, of course, but then we don't even know if it's any good. I mean, they took the fuel out of it because it was bad. So there was talk of maybe doing an assessment on the tank, make sure if it's good or not before the airport even considered paying $20,000 for a tank for fuel. And then Tyler Reed brought up a good motion. He said, you guys are working on a grant with the FAA. Why couldn't you put this fuel into that grant, and then you guys could get yourself an A1 with all the bells and whistles fuel station up there. It'd probably take another year or so to get fuel, but once you got it, it wouldn't be a Hawthorne tank. It would be a Rolls-Royce model. So that's what's going on there. I'm assuming the Forest Service contract with the airport is winding down due to the rain and snow up there. I see they were still up there this afternoon when I went up there, but how much longer? Probably not. We had 5 applicants, right, for the airport manager's position, and I will bring a candidate forward at the September 26th council meeting for your approval, because he's a department head and has to have council approval. So that's my airport board report. Any other board reports? Okay, none. We'll move on to town council comments. Councilmember Brown.
I need to inform the public and the council that on August 29, 2024, we had an email incident that may have created an inadvertent violation of the Montana Public Open Meeting as defined under MCA 2-3-202. An email was sent to the mayor and all the town council members from one council member stating that one member would not be in attendance at the September 5th meeting. By emailing one member of the council at the same time, more than one member of the council at the same time, this is potentially established as a quorum of the council. In this particular case, the correct procedure as delineated in the of Stevensville Council Rules, Part 13, Paragraph 1 is as follows. A town council member desiring to be absent from the town constantly for 10 calendar days or more shall submit a written or electronic request for permission to be absent to the town clerk's office. The request shall be directed to the town council members and the mayor by the town clerk. The town clerk shall forward a copy to the town council members, request to be absent to each town council member and the mayor. If 3 or more council members have objection to the absent, they may object in writing or via email. Within 3 calendar days after a copy of the request for the absence has been sent to the town council member's valued town clerk. General information: anytime a member of the council emails more than one council member, a quorum has more than one council member, a quorum has potentially been established electronically. This is a potential violation of the open meeting laws in the state of Montana. If the mayor emails more than 2 council members at the same time, there is potentially established of a quorum. This is the reason communication between council members and between the council and the mayor need to be sent to the clerk. The clerk can provide information to the council and the mayor without establishing a quorum. The information is sent to the council and there is no group discussion. Any replies to an email should be sent individually from a council member to the clerk. Thus, no discussion between council members occurs. The same thing applies to conference calls. One council member can call another member, but 3 members of the council may not be on the same call. The same applies to the mayor and the council. 2 members of the council and the mayor may be called together, but not 3. This presents an establishment of a quorum. However, the number of members actually on the council determines the quorum: 3 of 4, 2 of 3. Secondly, I would like all members to please review the Town of Stevensville Council Rules, especially Part 6, Section 1, Item 1. Every member desiring to speak shall address the presiding officer. Upon recognition, shall confine himself, herself to the questions under debate. All comments and questions shall be directed to the presiding officer, not to another member of the council, public, or staff. This is consistent with the council rules and Robert's Rules of Order. No member of the public may directly engage in conversation with the council, not a member of the staff, without first obtaining a concurrence of the presiding officer. For example, if Ward X council member needs further information from the treasurer regarding an item, the member will seek to be acknowledged by the presiding officer. Once recognized, the member will make the request to the presiding officer, not the treasurer. The presiding officer may request the information from the treasurer as a presiding officer request to the treasurer, or he may authorize the treasurer to provide the information directly to the council. But unless authorized by the presiding officer, no council member may address the staff, and the staff may not address a member of the council. The same applies to the public. Public comment is public comment, not question and answer, unless it is placed on the agenda as so. Unless the providing officer authorizes it, no council member may address a member of the public. During the presentation of agenda item, questions by the council may arise, as such may be administered in the same way as stated above. And lastly, when a meeting of the council has been adjourned, the members need to disperse, not discuss any town business amongst themselves in such a manner as not to establish a quorum. And then also, I had concerned citizens asking about how we started to garnish wages for the fine that was supposed to be paid back to the town of Stevensville by Mr. Dewey.
Okay. Any other council comments? Councilmember Parker.
I just have to touch on a few little things. I wish that Sarah would have stayed a little bit longer to answer a question about the cow meeting that we had on, I don't know, last week. Anyway, we had talked about reaching out to some of the foundations in the area, Stevensville Community Foundation. I actually got a hold of Joyce Ann, and we are actually set to have a meeting on Thursday, September 26th at 1:30. We're also going to meet with Sandy, who is, I believe, our treasurer to her. I'm not sure exactly how she fits in. Anyway, to talk about the Help for You program and see what we can do or what they can do to make it actually legal. So I was hoping that, again, that Sarah would have stayed around so that we could actually touch on that for her. I'll catch up with her and let her know that information so that she is aware that we are trying to work out something so that that is available. Also on the website, I noticed that there is budget billing. I don't know if it's something that we've had forever, but that's an option too, maybe for her to, budget out for the next however many months, just like they do with the power and so forth. I've actually had quite a few citizens comment about the yellow crossing flags. Many of those citizens have commented the fact that they look dingy, dirty, and very unattractive for our town. We would like to find a solution for our crosswalks, maybe something different, but the flags they would like to see go. We're not a big city and they feel that those are not a fit for our town. The construction trucks that were in Creekside, was the issue resolved on the excess use of the streets off of Sassafras, and was it causing damage to their streets alone? Was there ever a solution for the heavy equipment and finding an alternative route for those trucks to come in and out? Last is, we had a gentleman come to us off of Park Street in front of the school, the update on the street parking in front of his residence. Were we able to have proper patrol that would help out with people not parking along the street in front of the residence, causing this person some little heartache on being able to get in and out, especially for appointments. So that's all I have for council comments.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Okay, we'll move on to the executive report. On August 27th, 24, I did a walkthrough with Public Works Director Steve Lassiter, Riley Lovers, and Caleb O'Neill of HDR on Spring Street. It looks really good. I think this is something the town could really be proud of if you go down there and look at the work that was done, and the way they laid out the sides and compacted it down. A1 job. On 8/29, I set up and attended a water systems class above the fire hall up here with Public Works Director Steve Lassiter, Glenn Bias, Jeff and Matt Ferguson, and then they get credits to get their water certification, and then they work later on for the wastewater, right, Steve? Yeah. But this is a start on it. We're gonna have more classes up there as we get through the year, and it's a real plus to get these guys certified. We can't go to them, we'll bring them to us, which would save us money instead of a hotel room and everything down the line. On Sunday, I'll do a proclamation for the legendary soccer coach Ralph Surratt at the Stevensville Soccer Fields at 5 p.m. Hope to see you all there. And we're going to proclaim Sunday as Ralph Surratt Day. Today, I had a meeting with Eli Malloy, Riley Lovers of HDR, with Janelle, Steve Lassiter, and Gina regarding Park Street and Pine Street developments. Park Street is about ready to get signed off on. There's just a few details as far as the drainage issues, the height of it. And once those are ironed out, they'll be signed off. Pine Street is a different deal. HDR just does not feel comfortable on signing off on it because of the issues there. So they're basically going to tell PCI that we're going to just give this work to DEQ, because DEQ is just about ready to set their standards even more rigid. So it'll even be tougher. So I going on a limb here, and I don't see that place ever going. I don't see how DEQ could ever approve something over there that's swamp. So if HDR had no way of doing it, I don't know why. And HDR has been working with DEQ back and forth. So DEQ knows what's going on here. Okay. We also discussed the remaining money for the ARPA project, which includes money for the SCADA improvements, out at the well house and everything for our water and for more meters and meter pits on Pine Street. We'll have some money left over for discovery of leaks, et cetera, on the town storage water tank. And I'd like to go on and start with the Spring and Rail Street project is winding down. And I would like to thank, first and foremost, the state legislature, House Bill 355, which gave the town $144,000. Without that, you wouldn't see any of this on Spring Street or Rail Street. So we need to thank the legislature for that. They did a good job. I'd like to thank HDR Caleb O'Neill, Riding Lovers, for spearheading that. I'd like to thank JR Asphalt, Marty Romano, who did the work, it's his asphalt company. I'd like to thank former Mayor Steve Gibson, who was part of this, played a big part in putting this together. I'd like to thank council members, past and present, Nancy Lowell, Cindy Brown, Isaiah Nelson, Stacy Barker, and Wallace Smith for their work on bringing Spring Street to fruition and making this town look pretty damn good. I'd like to thank Public Works, former Steve Cruz, who had a hand in it, Steve Lassiter, Glenn Bias, Matt and Jeff Wilkerson, and Cody Anderson. They all worked hard to bring this together. I'd like to thank the town staff, Janelle Bertha, Robert Underwood, Gina Crow, and Andrea Case, who all put their fingers in this. And I'd like to finally thank all the citizens of Spring Street. If you're listening out there, I want to thank you for your patience, because as you well know, it's been talking like this, that Spring Street's going to get done someday. Well, someday finally arrived, and I think you'd be all proud of that. So thank you, citizens, for your patience. Now I'd like to move to the Mission Street Water Main Replacement Project. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the President of the United States and Congress who passed the ARPA grant, which made this possible. They gave us $1.1 million. We had to come up with a little over $500,000 match, but without that, you wouldn't see Mission Street being done. So we need to thank Congress and the former president and the current president. I'd like to thank council members, or former mayors, Brandon Dewey and Steve Gibson. The ARPA grant first come to fruition in 2020, and I was on the council then. God, I was kicking and screaming. Oh, what's this ARPA grant about? Oh God, we're giving $240-something thousand to an engineering firm, which was HDR at the time. What the hell are they gonna do with it? I mean, I was pretty adamant. I didn't know what it was about. And at the time, Mayor Dewey and the council didn't even know what it was about, but they knew that we had gotten the grant, and they knew we had to have an engineering firm on record even before we could get the money or start to get the money. So I need to thank, like I say, Mayor Dewey for that. And the council members at the time were Jamie Devlin, Patrick Shore, Karen Longler, Desi Vick, Robin Holcomb, Paul Ludington, Marilyn Wolf, Nancy Lowell, Isaiah Nelson, Wallace Smith, Stacy Barker, and Cindy Brown. I want to thank all those council members for putting in the time to make all this happen, because without them, it doesn't happen. I'd like to thank Public Works, past and now, Mr. Steve Cruz, Mr. Steve Lassiter, Mr. Cody Anderson, Mr. Glenn Bias, Jeff and Matt Wilkinson. I'd like to thank all them for their hard work on putting these projects together. It takes a team to do it. And lastly, but mostly, I want to thank the town staff, former and present. I want to thank Pam Sosa, Janelle Bertha, Gina Crow, Melanie Sawyer, and Andrina Case for their hard work on keeping the candle going, and keeping the work going. Because without this, it doesn't happen. So I want to thank you all. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ralph, off the record, I will say, during today's meeting, it was brought up about MRI. We're holding out that last payment to them until they come back and